Welcome everyone to another episode of Games Lost to the Ages. I'm your host Blitz. It's nice to have you with us. We're playing Super Conflict, and we're about to do Scenario 9. Okay, so in my first video, when I did Scenario 3, it was just a simple engagement between ground units. Now there's a little more complexity. As you see, we have airports, plus air units and anti-air units, and factories now too. So actually they've added a lot in just a few scenarios. So here's the disposition of enemy troops, of our troops. This happens to be another scenario where they have a tech advantage over us in tanks, but it's not as daunting because we have air units. Helicopters are your answer to tanks, and later on bombers especially. Okay, so I need to think about my strategy here though. It doesn't really apply to this scenario yet, but I have a few house rules that I play by to kind of give the computer a little more of a chance. One of those house rules is no attacking the computer on the first turn. In later scenarios, you have ample opportunities to, on the very first turn, before they can even react, destroy a ton of their units. I refrain from doing that for more of a challenge. So we need to, like I said, we need to determine what our strategy here is going to be though. So an interesting thing about trying to capture bases is that if I do this, you'll see that there's a terrain under it. That determines what the move cost is to get there. So for example, this was under a forest, so it actually cost 2 movement to get there. Plains and deserts take 1 movement, hills and forests take 2, and mountains take 3 movement. So you have to keep those numbers in mind as you play through this game. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit defensive here, actually, to begin with. I'm not exactly fond of my starting setup here. We're going to play a little defensive and try to take care of the enemy here by letting them move in to our range where we can deal with them. Airfield, there's no need to deploy my air units just quite yet. With 2 fighter planes, the weakest type in the game. Okay, that was a long first turn. I usually settle for commandos at first. They take 1 turn to make. They're cheap, but they at least have modest firepower, so they're definitely worthwhile. The computer would probably try to build like a, depending on if they kill all my units, they'll definitely go for a T-62, which is a solid choice for production. Okay, I was kind of hoping that was not what he would do with that T-80. Yeah, my M16s aren't going to do crap to that T-80. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. Alright. Here comes the mill. Okay, but he's going to attack the commando. Okay, good. I would have went after the tank, personally, but the computer likes to target or aggro, whatever you want to call it, the weakest units. That's just how it's designed. That's not a very good philosophy, strategically thinking. I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, though. Okay, let's see how I can deal with this situation. So this is a very important thing I need to look out for. The SA-13's going to be a very big problem for me. See, okay, so infantry, really their only usefulness is to capture bases like that. We can probably, let's say, try going like that. Okay. So, the SAM is probably going to get destroyed, no matter where I put it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it to attack their helicopter. Okay, it served its purpose. They can't replace that helicopter because they don't have air factories. So, that's good. I'm gonna move, I'm actually gonna, move back here just to play it safe. I have to watch out for their fish beds, which have a movement of 8. Is use our commando here that we made. Let's go defend that airport. Probably end up getting destroyed, but my flag tank out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, my helicopter is good for now. Air units can be deployed, and as long as they don't move, they don't use up fuel, but they have to return to an airfield before they run out of fuel. Another house rule is that this game actually allows an airplane to return to an airfield from anywhere. So if I, in theory, flew my airplanes all the way out here, which is way out of their movement range from any airfield on the map, they can just fly all the way back. I don't like that. I think it's a little unrealistic, so I make it a rule where to return to an airfield, my airplanes have to be in movement range of it. So it's going to be important throughout the series for me to make sure that my air units are in range of an airfield at all times. Alright, let's see how they respond. That's what I figured. They want the commando. I conceded that was gonna happen. So they're still alive and kicking. So as you can see, the computer's not too bright. Like, moving your flag tank into a desert, I mean, okay, you want to finish off the unit, fine, but why put it in the worst possible spot? You know I'm gonna take advantage of that. I have to. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. So they prefer to actually use their fighter jets to attack ground units, which, as you can see, does almost nothing. It's a waste of fuel, it's a waste of time, and it works for me because... Oh, here we go, he wants to... So I guess as long as... If they have a valid target in range, they'll go after it. So if I hit him back... No, I didn't. Okay, that's fine though. Again, gotta be careful for that thing. Actually, I might be able to kill it this turn though. Alright, so let's see. It might be in my best interest to actually give him a pass because I really want to take out that SA-13 launcher. In this game, having total air superiority is a must. That's how you win this game. Air is king, and that's actually quite realistic. Modern conventional warfare is largely determined by who can control the skies. So this game does actually represent that quite well. Pitiful counterattack, did 1 point of damage. So, just a quick note. So the flag tank looks identical to the T-80 or the M1A1. But actually its stats are substantially different. As you can see, flag tanks have 70 strength, or hit points. T-80s have 65. They have 8 fuel and 12 ammo, which is the same here, but their defense is different, I believe. Or at least it might not say the defense is different. No, okay, so it says they have the same defense, but believe me, they're not. The game has, like, programming in it to make it so that the flag tank is very difficult to destroy. Unless you use another flag tank or just surround it with a bunch of units. So the actual amount of damage you're going to do is a lot different to a T-80 than what you're going to do to an M60 or a flag tank. Sorry, I'm saying M60 because my M60 just destroyed their SAM, which is perfect. Okay, so now, as you can see, their fish beds have 1 fuel. They're forced to return to an airfield next turn. We can take advantage of that situation now by using our AH-1 Cobra, blocking the bridge, for example, and attacking their T-62. Because their air units have to return to base, I don't have to worry about my Cobra being threatened by anything anymore now. That was actually a mistake. I should have used my commando. Another house rule I have is no using fighter planes or anything. No using secondary weapons to finish off units. I know it seems like a stupid rule, but for me, it makes sense just for the sake of balancing the game. As you can see, every unit has a special weapon and a weapon, except for infantry. They don't have a special weapon. But I would say, yeah, it just doesn't make sense for like a fighter plane with a small little 20mm cannon to try and destroy a tank. So I'm not going to do it then. You can disagree with me on those rules. I mean, maybe I'm a little too strict, but when I do the 2-player against myself too, I'm going to follow those rules for both sides. Got him. Now remember, my fighter jets still have 2 fuel points because I didn't, even though I deployed them last turn, I didn't actually move them. Okay, so M60, go block the airport, and then we're gonna go ahead and take out their T-62. Let's see where the flag tank can go. About that far. So we'll just keep the commando unit on standby. And actually probably just make another one. You can't really, in my opinion, go wrong with making commando units. Now, what determines what I can build is, if you look on the bottom left and bottom right hand corners of the screen, you'll see scores. You know, I have 3,400, they have 4,600. Every unit has a production cost, and unless your score is at that level, you can't build the unit. Units also have a turn requirement for building too. Tanks and airplanes cost 2 turns to make, except for bombers, which take 3 turns to make. And ships and smaller ships take 3 turns to make, bigger ships take 4. In my opinion, the time is a huge investment, and like, so I'm putting out 2 commando units in 2 turns, whereas he took 2 turns to make 1 tank. So time will tell which one's a better investment, but I would say for sure the better investment, in my opinion, is just to have the numbers right now, because that's what I need. I need numbers. Because he's kind of overwhelming my starting position here. So there's little nuances to the game. With the computer, they're not so bright, so you don't have to overthink it too much. Okay, so they returned their air unit to the nearest airfield and didn't bother guarding it, which means bye-bye air unit. Okay, so now they have no air units left at all, which plays right into my hands, because now my AH-1 Cobra is going to run free and just absolutely shred them to pieces. This T-80, which is fearsome and unrivaled on the ground, is going to be humbled by the fact that it can't do anything to my helicopter harassing it. So the way you get points in this game Blue, the human player, always starts at 3,000, whereas with each section of the game, red gets 1,000 more. So they started this with 4,000. When you destroy a unit, any unit, you gain 300 and the opponent loses 300. So it's designed to snowball. So when you play a multiplayer game, that's something to take into serious consideration. As you can see, so now I'm at 3,900, they're at 43. So if I was to destroy one more unit, which I won't be able to, but if I did, I would have 4,200 points, which is the production requirement for M60. So that's the difference between me choosing to make a commando this turn and me making a T60, which is a better investment than a commando unit. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and use him to guard that. I'm going to fly my jets away and probably park them away for good. What I could do in theory actually is use them as blockers. Airplanes block movement of your units and enemy units. You cannot move through your own units, nor can the enemy. There's no zones of control though, so you can move past units. So by doing that, he can't decide to send his flag tank back across the bridge. I can't either, for that matter. But I'm basically forcing him to stay on this side. I've isolated his flag tank from the rest of his army and his factory. So that puts me at a serious advantage in this situation. Also, the fighter planes are pretty much a distraction for their forces. I'm gonna go ahead and just move this one over here though. So next time I want to use it, it'll have to return to base, but that's fine. Move this commando to the bridge. Cobra's still doing good on supply, fuel. And we're just gonna go another commando unit. Getting troops on the ground. Replacing losses. Okay, so he's gonna go ahead and siege my land factory. The computer loves doing that. And in fact, it's actually one of the fatal flaws of this game, in my opinion, is that the computer is too obsessed with destroying your factories. So, destroying a factory, I don't have any house rules against that, by the way. It's because it's a very situational strategy. It's useful if you can do it without serious retaliation from the enemy, and you have nothing better to do, essentially, with your units. To me, destroying units is always a priority over attacking a factory, but the computer in this game, for whatever reason, the way it's designed, it prioritizes the factory over units, which ends up costing it dearly. But that's just how the AI is made, so no sense in really complaining about it. Surprised he wouldn't capture my airfield there. It's actually some pretty substantial damage. It's because I'm on the worst possible terrain, though. Excuse me if you hear weird noise. I'm drinking from a water bottle. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna take this turn. I don't have a favorable terrain to fight his flag tank, so I'm gonna go and take away this city from him. So now he can't resupply his flag tank. And eventually, I know this is gonna be boring, but the way he's just going to run out of ammo at some point, and then that's how we're going to beat his flag tank. So we're going to go ahead and destroy this infantry unit. I get first shot, so either it's going to kill him or I'm going to get destroyed. We'll see what happens. Barely survived. Okay, again, gonna do our usual routine. They really restrict the amount of damage that air units can do to the flag tank in this game. I think it's because they figure that it would make the game way too easy. So air units actually have a cap of how much damage they can do to the flag tank in one attack. I think it's like, for helicopters 16 and for bombers only 8. So it's not even worth going after the flag tank with your air units because the designers felt apparently that it would make the game too easy or something. I don't know. I'm speculating on that, but that's what it feels like. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand, if that's the case, I understand why they did it. It's because the AI would just get destroyed by you in like a few turns. So I mean, if you look at the start of this battle, I was in a pretty dire situation, and I just kind of remained calm here and made some solid tactical choices, which has really turned the battle around for me. Okay, so they auto land if you just do this. They go to the nearest airfield. I don't know which one. These are both in the same range, so I don't know which one he's going to go to, so I'm going to actually say no, then move. 1, 2, 3, 4. His infantry can't reach that. Those, like I said, those fighters don't really have any purpose anymore. I don't know if I can bait their flag tank into coming out of the bridge to attack. Probably not. Okay, so I have enough production points to make a M60 now. Oh, I forgot to mention too, at the points, you also get 100 points at the start of your turn for every city and airfield you own. So it's not huge, but over time it adds up. Yeah, he's going to continue sieging my land factory. The land factory recovers its strength and ammo as if it's on a city every turn. So that damage he just did is going to repair, and he's going to run out of ammo before he can destroy my factory, so I have no concerns right now. Huh. Production will begin immediately. Okay. Here we go. Well, this M60 is actually low on fuel. If a unit runs out of fuel, it can't perform any more actions anymore. It's kind of self-explanatory, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so as long as I move him here, he's in range of that city, which means I can capture it and then resupply at it and then go after his flag tank. So I'm just kind of systematically cleaning up right now, and then I will finish the scenario. At this point in the game, the fact that I don't have a lot of air support, just a couple airplanes and a helicopter, means that these scenarios will naturally be a little bit longer. As the game goes on, the scenarios will actually be a little bit shorter, I think, because we'll have more firepower. So I'm going to challenge him to a sort of a duel here. It's my flag tank against his. And as you can see, didn't really do much to him, but I'm expediting the process of reducing his ammo. I'm also going to make sure that he doesn't get a chance to refuel and rearm and recover strength at my city by using my airplanes that he can't do anything about to block his path to my city. And then we're gonna just call that end turn. He's trying to run away now. Again, we can't let him resupply though. This guy has to resupply, or he'll be unusable. Alright. So we're slowly chipping away at him. It's always a good idea to guard airfields, and the computer rarely ever does that. And as you saw, it costed him an airplane. Okay. I'm just gonna go here. I already deployed that guy, right? Go back and land. And we're gonna take our Cobra and block his land route towards those bases. So we're just trying to keep him contained while we chip away at him. Okay, I was 100 points shy of getting a M1A1, so I'm actually just going to get a commando because, like I said, I'm going to get 100 points per base. So, getting a M1A1 is a better investment than a T60. Or not T60, M60. Okay, he doesn't know what to do. We're going to win on this turn anyway. Let's probably just go ahead and kill the commando unit. That's fine. He's been able to produce those all game. That's okay though. Alright, let's finish this scenario off. Got him. Alright, so it was a little scary at the beginning, but I managed to outwit the computer. Or they managed to lose the game, because it's a matter of perspective. But that's that scenario. The next scenario will have even more units and factories involved. So thanks for sticking that out with me. I really appreciate it. I'm Blitz from MaddnessScene. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.